In the sterile corridors of Meridian Aerospace's Colorado Springs facility, a brilliant satellite engineer was about to face the ultimate betrayal. What started as a routine morning preparing for the biggest presentation of her career took a shocking turn when she came face to face with corporate nepotism that would destroy everything she had built. Jenkins wasn't your typical defense contractor employee. For 15 years, she had spent her life creating the algorithms that kept America's satellites safe, known for her uncompromising dedication to national security. When she discovered her boss was selling her life's work to foreign enemies while replacing her with his unqualified nephew, she made a decision that would either save her country or land her in federal prison for the rest of her life. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Jenkins pressed her fingertips against her temples, trying to ease the familiar ache that came from staring at data streams for 12 hours straight. The blue glow of her 3 monitors cast long shadows across her cluttered office, making the towers of technical manuals and coffee-stained reports look like miniature skyscrapers in the pre-dawn darkness. Outside her window, the Rocky Mountains stood sentinel against the Colorado Springs skyline, their peaks catching the first hint of sunrise that would soon flood the Meridian Aerospace facility with golden light. She leaned back in her chair, the same ergonomic disaster she'd been meaning to replace for 3 years, and allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Spread across her screens was 15 years of her life's work: satellite trajectory algorithms, orbital mechanics calculations, and defense system protocols that represented the bleeding edge of American space technology. Project Sentinel wasn't just another defense contract, it was her magnum opus, the culmination of every late night, every missed dinner, every relationship she'd sacrificed at the altar of national security. The $1 billion contract was the largest in Meridian's history, and Anna knew she was the only person at the company, hell probably in the entire country, who could deliver what the Pentagon needed. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced precision, adding final touches to the presentation that would secure her legacy. Each slide was a masterpiece of technical documentation, years of research distilled into digestible insights that would make even the most skeptical general understand why Anna Jenkins was indispensable. Her phone buzzed against the desk, vibrating against an empty energy drink can. The display showed 7:23 a.m., and a text from her neighbor asking if she wanted to grab coffee sometime. Anna almost laughed. Coffee with a normal person, who worked normal hours and talked about normal things like weekend plans and Netflix shows. The concept felt foreign, like trying to remember a language she'd once spoken fluently but had long forgotten. She turned back to her presentation, making microscopic adjustments to the orbital decay model. This was her language now, the precise poetry of physics and engineering, the elegant dance of satellites maintaining their celestial choreography 250 miles above Earth. Most people saw empty space when they looked up at night. Anna saw a complex ecosystem of metal and technology, each component as vital and interconnected as organs in a living body. Her office door stood slightly ajar, and she could hear the facility coming to life around her. The gentle hum of servers in the adjacent data center, the distant whir of the HVAC system, the soft electronic beeps that punctuated the morning's startup sequences. Meridian Aerospace never truly slept, but there was something peaceful about these early hours when the building belonged to the machines, and the few humans dedicated enough to commune with them. A knock on her doorframe interrupted her reverie. "Ian, you've been here all night again, haven't you?" She looked up to see Rebecca Martinez standing in the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee from the cafeteria. Becca was one of the few people at Meridian who still treated Anna like a human being rather than a resource to be managed. As the lead IT security specialist, Becca understood the weight of responsibility that came with protecting critical systems, the way it could consume a person's entire existence. "Time is a social construct," Anna replied, accepting the coffee gratefully. "Besides, I'm presenting to the Pentagon Review Board next week. Everything has to be perfect." Becca settled into the chair across from Anna's desk, the same chair where countless engineers had sat over the years, seeking Anna's expertise on problems that kept them awake at night. "You know they're going to approve the contract, right? They'd be insane not to. Nobody else comes close to your level of expertise." Anna allowed herself a small smile. 15 years of expertise. 15 years of 10-hour days, weekend work sessions, and emergency calls at 3 in the morning because some satellites started behaving erratically. I've earned this. More than earned it, Becca agreed. You've basically built this company's entire satellite division from scratch. Marcus would still be selling slightly improved radar systems to small-town police departments if it weren't for your work. The mention of Marcus Sullivan, Meridian's CEO, brought a slight frown to Anna's face. She respected Marcus's business acumen. The man had transformed a struggling defense contractor into an aerospace powerhouse, but she'd never quite understood him on a personal level. He had a way of making every interaction feel like a performance, as if he were constantly calculating the angles, measuring the political implications of every word. Speaking of Marcus, Becca said, checking her phone, he just sent out an all-hands meeting notice. 9 a.m. in the main conference room, mandatory attendance. Anna's frown deepened. Marcus typically reserved mandatory meetings for major announcements, new contracts, policy changes, or the kind of corporate restructuring that made employees update their LinkedIn profile. Any idea what it's about? None. The email just said important Project Sentinel updates. Could be good news about the Pentagon review timeline. Anna nodded, though something in her gut twisted uneasily. She'd learned to trust her instincts over the years, especially when they warned her about potential threats to her work. The satellite systems she monitored were predictable, governed by the immutable laws of physics. Corporate dynamics were far more treacherous, subject to the chaotic variables of ego, politics, and personal ambition. At 8:55 a.m., Anna made her way to the main conference room, her presentation materials clutched against her chest like armor. The hallways buzzed with nervous energy, as employees speculated about Marcus's announcement. Through the glass walls of the conference room, she could see Marcus setting up his laptop, his movements precise and confident. He wore his customary navy suit, the one that made him look like a senator or a Fortune 500 CEO rather than someone who'd started his career installing radar equipment in military vehicles. Anna took her usual seat in the second row, close enough to the front to demonstrate engagement, but far enough back to avoid seeming overeager. Around her, the room filled with familiar faces, engineers, project managers, administrative staff, who formed the backbone of Meridian's operation. She noticed Tyler Sullivan lounging in the front row, his attention divided between his phone and a conversation with someone from marketing. Marcus's nephew had been around the office more frequently in recent months, ostensibly learning the business, though Anna had yet to see evidence of any meaningful contribution to the company's technical work. At exactly 9 o'clock, Marcus called for attention. The room fell silent, with the practiced efficiency of employees who understood their CEO's preference for punctuality. Good morning, everyone. I've called this meeting to share some exciting news about Project Sentinel. His voice carried the warm authority that had charmed Pentagon officials and congressional appropriations committees for years. As you know, this contract represents not just our largest opportunity to date, but a chance to fundamentally reshape America's approach to satellite defense. Anna felt her pulse quicken. This was it. The moment when her years of dedication would finally be acknowledged, when she'd be officially recognized as the architect of Meridian's most ambitious project. The Pentagon has expressed tremendous confidence in our capabilities, Marcus continued, and I'm pleased to announce that we'll be moving forward with an expanded timeline and budget allocation. A murmur of approval rippled through the room. Anna allowed herself a moment of pride, knowing that the Pentagon's confidence was really confidence in her work, her algorithms, her innovation. However, Marcus said, and Anna felt her stomach drop at the subtle shift in his tone, this expanded scope requires fresh leadership and new perspectives. After careful consideration, I've decided to appoint Tyler Sullivan as the lead project manager for Project Sentinel. The words hit Anna like a physical blow. She felt the color drain from her face as she watched Tyler stand up, accepting congratulations from colleagues who seemed as stunned as she was. The room spun slightly, and she gripped the arms of her chair to steady herself. Tyler brings a unique combination of technical insight and strategic thinking, Marcus continued, his voice seeming to come from very far away. His Stanford education and fresh perspective on emerging technologies make him the ideal leader to take Project Sentinel into its next phase. Anna's mind raced, trying to process what was happening. Tyler Sullivan had been at the company for exactly 3 months. His Stanford degree was in business administration, not engineering. He'd never worked on a satellite project, never spent sleepless nights debugging orbital mechanics, never felt the weight of national security resting on his calculations, and now he was supposed to lead her project. The meeting continued around her, but Anna heard none of it. She was dimly aware of Tyler giving a brief speech about leveraging synergies and disrupting traditional paradigms, buzzwords that meant nothing in the context of actual aerospace engineering. When the meeting finally ended, she remained in her seat as colleagues filed out, some offering her sympathetic glances, while others studiously avoided eye contact. Marcus was gathering his materials when Anna finally approached him. "I need to speak with you, privately." He looked up with an expression of mild surprise, as if he hadn't expected her to have questions about being passed over for her own project. "Of course, Anna, my office in 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes felt like an eternity. Anna paced the hallway outside Marcus's office, her mind cycling through arguments, appeals and ultimatums. She'd given this company everything. Her expertise had made Marcus rich, had put Meridian on the map as a serious aerospace contract. How could he simply hand her life's work over to an inexperienced kid, whose primary qualification was sharing his last name? Marcus's office reflected his carefully cultivated image, expensive furniture, military commendations, and photographs of him shaking hands with important people. Anna had been in this room countless times, usually to brief Marcus on technical developments he barely understood. Now she sat across from his desk feeling like a supplicant, begging for scraps of respect from someone who owed his success to her brilliance. "I know this comes as a surprise," Marcus began, his tone sympathetic but firm. "Change is never easy, especially when you've been so invested in a project." Invested? Anna's voice was carefully controlled, but she could feel anger building beneath the surface. "Marcus, I created Project Sentinel. Every algorithm, every security protocol, every innovation that made this contract possible came from my research, and you're handing it over to someone who doesn't understand the difference between orbital velocity and escape velocity." Marcus leaned back in his chair, his expression shifting to something more calculating. "Anna, you're an exceptional engineer. Nobody's questioning your technical abilities, but Project Sentinel has grown beyond pure engineering. We need someone who can interface with Pentagon officials, manage complex stakeholder relationships, and think strategically about long-term implications. And you think Tyler can do that? He's 24 years old, Marcus. He's never managed anything more complex than his Instagram account. He's young, yes, but he brings fresh perspectives that, frankly, our team needs. The defense industry is changing, and we need leaders who understand emerging technologies, social media dynamics, and how to communicate with a younger generation of decision-makers." Anna stared at him, realizing that this conversation wasn't really about qualifications or capabilities. This was about Marcus positioning his nephew for advancement, regardless of the consequences for the project or the company. "What about my security clearance?" she asked, grasping for any leverage she might have. Marcus's pause was almost imperceptible, but Anna caught it. "Your clearance hasn't changed. You'll continue to have access to all relevant project materials in your new role as senior technical advisor." But even as he spoke, Anna was remembering the minor difficulties she'd had accessing certain files over the past week, the way some systems had started requiring additional authentication steps. With growing horror, she realized that her access had already been quietly downgraded, that this conversation was merely a formality to explain decisions that had already been implemented. "I see," she said quietly. "And what exactly does senior technical advisor mean?" "You'll provide technical guidance and support to Tyler's team. Your expertise will still be valued, just in a different capacity." The patronizing tone was unmistakable now. Anna felt something cold and hard settle in her chest, a crystallization of 15 years of loyalty curdling into something bitter and dangerous. "I understand," she said, standing to leave. "Thank you for clarifying my new role." As she reached the door, Marcus called after her, "Anna, I hope you'll support Tyler as he transitions into this position. The success of Project Sentinel depends on all of us working together." She turned back to look at him, this man who had built his empire on her innovations, and was now casually discarding her like outdated equipment. "Of course, Marcus, I'll do whatever's necessary to ensure Project Sentinel succeeds." The smile she gave him was perfectly professional, giving no hint of the fury that was building inside her like pressure in a damaged satellite fuel tank. Marcus nodded, satisfied that he'd managed another difficult corporate transition with minimal disruption. He had no idea that Anna Jenkins was already calculating the precise trajectory of his destruction. The smile she gave him was perfectly professional, giving no hint of the fury that was building inside her like pressure in a damaged satellite fuel tank. Marcus nodded, satisfied that he'd managed another difficult corporate transition with minimal disruption. He had no idea that Anna Jenkins was already calculating the precise trajectory of his destruction. Anna's hands trembled slightly as she walked back to her office, the aftershocks of betrayal still coursing through her system. The hallways that had felt like home for 15 years now seemed foreign, hostile. Colleagues who had once sought her expertise now avoided her gaze, as if her sudden demotion might be contagious. She closed her office door behind her and leaned against it, finally allowing herself to process the magnitude of what had just happened. Senior Technical Advisor. The title was corporate speak for glorified consultant, a way to keep her around long enough to transfer her knowledge to Tyler before inevitably pushing her out entirely. Anna had seen this pattern before with other senior engineers who had outlived their usefulness to Marcus's vision. They became expensive liabilities, reminders of the company's less glamorous past. But Anna wasn't like the others. She had built something irreplaceable, and Marcus had just made the mistake of thinking he could steal it without consequence. Her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Coffee? I think we should talk. Tom Bradley. Tom Bradley, her former mentor, the man who had discovered her potential when she was a junior engineer fresh out of MIT. The man Marcus had forced into early retirement 6 months ago as part of his organizational modernization. Anna stared at the message, realizing that Tom's departure had been another piece of Marcus's plan, clearing away the old guard to make room for his nephew's ascension. She typed back quickly, "Grounds for coffee on Academy Boulevard. 1 hour." Anna spent the next 45 minutes methodically documenting everything she could remember about her recent interactions with Marcus. Tyler's limited involvement in technical discussions, and the subtle changes to her system access. Her engineering mind automatically began constructing a timeline, looking for patterns and connections that might explain the scope of what she was beginning to suspect was a larger conspiracy. Grounds for Coffee was a small shop frequented by tech workers from the various aerospace companies scattered throughout Colorado Springs. Anna arrived early and chose a corner table where she could see the entrance while keeping her back to the wall, a habit she'd developed during her early years working on classified projects. Tom Bradley walked in exactly on time, his silver hair and weathered face making him look older than his 62 years. The forced retirement had taken a toll on him, but his eyes still held the sharp intelligence that had made him one of the most respected engineers in the industry. Anna. Tom's voice carried a weight of shared understanding as he sat down across from her. "I heard about the appointment. I'm sorry. How did you hear so quickly?" Anna asked, though she already knew the answer. The aerospace community in Colorado Springs was small and tightly connected. News traveled fast, especially when it involved something as shocking as passing over Anna Jenkins for her own project. "Becca Martinez called me an hour ago. She thought I should know." Tom stirred his coffee slowly, his movements deliberate and measured. "She also mentioned some concerning irregularities in the system logs." Anna felt her pulse quicken. "What kind of irregularities?" "Unauthorized access to your research files, data transfers to external drives, file modification timestamps that don't match the official record." Tom leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Anna, someone has been systematically copying your work for months." The revelation hit her like a physical blow. She had suspected that Marcus was using her research without attribution, but the scope of what Tom was describing suggested something far more sinister. "Do you think Marcus has been planning this replacement for months?" "I think Marcus has been planning a lot of things." Tom's expression darkened. "My forced retirement wasn't about cost-cutting or modernization. I was asking too many questions about some of his recent business relationships, particularly his meetings with certain foreign contacts." Anna's engineering mind immediately began processing the implications. Foreign contacts? What kind of foreign contacts? the kind that are very interested in American satellite technology, the kind that would pay substantial sums for access to classified research. Tom pulled out his phone and showed Anna a series of photographs taken with a telephoto lens. I started taking these after I noticed a pattern in Marcus's calendar. The photographs showed Marcus meeting with various individuals in restaurants, hotel lobbies, and parking garages throughout Colorado Springs and Denver. Anna didn't recognize the faces, but there was something deliberately clandestine about the meetings. A careful choreography that suggested these weren't ordinary business discussions. "Who are they?" Anna asked, though she was beginning to fear she already knew the answer. Based on the license plates and some discreet research, representatives from Chinese and Russian aerospace programs, people who would be very interested in obtaining the algorithms that make Project Sentinel so valuable. Tom put his phone away and fixed Anna with a steady gaze. "I think Marcus has been selling your research, and Tyler's appointment is just the latest step in covering his tracks." Anna felt the world tilt slightly, the way it had during the announcement meeting. Everything she had attributed to simple nepotism was actually part of a larger betrayal that extended far beyond corporate politics. If that's true, then Project Sentinel isn't just compromised, it's been weaponized against us. "That's why I reached out to you, Tom. Marcus destroyed my credibility when he forced me out. No one will listen to a disgruntled retiree with conspiracy theories, but you still have access, still have standing within the company. You might be the only person who can prove what's really happening." Anna thought about her downgraded security clearance, the subtle changes to her system access that she was only now beginning to understand. "My access has been limited. I might not be able to get the evidence we need." "Then we need to be strategic about what evidence we gather and how we gather it." Tom leaned back, his expression serious. "But Anna, you need to understand something. If Marcus is doing what I think he's doing, then he's committed treason. And people who commit treason don't hesitate to destroy anyone who threatens to expose them." The weight of Tom's words settled over Anna like a cold blanket. She had entered this conversation thinking about corporate injustice and personal betrayal. Now she was contemplating the possibility that her mentor figure was actively working against American national security interests. Her phone buzzed with an urgent message from Becca. "Emergency in the satellite control room. Tyler's made a critical error. Need you here now." Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Anna showed the message to Tom, who grimaced. "It's starting already. Tyler's incompetence will provide perfect cover for the kind of accidents that could compromise satellite systems." Anna stood up, her mind already racing ahead to the technical crisis that awaited her. "I have to go deal with this. But Tom, I need to know. Do you have any evidence beyond the photographs? Some financial records, travel receipts, communication logs?" "Nothing definitive yet, but enough to suggest a pattern." Tom handed her a business card with only a phone number written on it. "Call me when you're ready to take this seriously. And Anna, be careful who you trust. If Marcus is willing to sell out his country, he won't hesitate to destroy anyone who gets in his way." Anna pocketed the card and hurried out of the coffee shop, her mind churning with the implications of Tom's revelations. The drive back to Meridian felt surreal, as if she were seeing her workplace through new eyes. The familiar building now looked sinister, its clean lines and modern architecture hiding corruption that reached to the highest levels of American defense contracting. The satellite control room was in chaos when Anna arrived. Tyler stood in the center of the room, his face flushed with embarrassment and anger, while technicians scrambled to assess the damage from his miscalculation. On the main display screen, Anna could see the orbital trajectory of Sentinel-7, one of the test satellites for Project Sentinel, showing a dangerous deviation from its intended path. "What happened?" Anna asked, though she was already analyzing the trajectory data and calculating the potential consequences. "Tyler input incorrect burn parameters during the orbital adjustment sequence," one of the technicians explained quietly. "The satellite is now on a collision course with the International Space Station." Anna felt her blood run cold. A collision between an American military satellite and the ISS would be an international incident of unprecedented proportions, potentially destroying years of diplomatic progress and costing billions of dollars in damage. More importantly, it would likely kill the astronauts currently aboard the station. "How long do we have?" Anna asked, her fingers already moving across the control interface. Approximately 4 hours until potential impact, the technician replied. Anna's mind shifted into crisis mode, the same focused state that had made her one of the most respected satellite engineers in the country. She could fix this. She had the expertise and experience to calculate the precise adjustments needed to safely redirect the satellite. But as she began working, a disturbing thought occurred to her. Tyler's error wasn't just incompetence, the specific parameters he had input would have been impossible to calculate accidentally. Someone had given him those numbers, and whoever had done so had known exactly what the consequences would be. This wasn't an accident, it was sabotage, disguised as inexperience, designed to create the kind of catastrophic failure that would provide perfect justification for bringing in outside expertise to fix the Project Sentinel system. Anna's hands moved across the controls with practiced precision, but her mind was racing with darker implications. If Marcus was willing to risk an international incident and potential loss of life to advance his conspiracy, then Tom Bradley had been right about one thing. She was dealing with someone who would stop at nothing to protect his secret. The question was whether she was prepared to stop at nothing to expose them. Anna's hands moved across the controls with practiced precision, but her mind was racing with darker implications. If Marcus was willing to risk an international incident and potential loss of life to advance his conspiracy, then Tom Bradley had been right about one thing. She was dealing with someone who would stop at nothing to protect his secret. The question was whether she was prepared to stop at nothing to expose them. 3 hours and 47 minutes later, Anna watched Sentinel-7's trajectory stabilize on the main display, its corrected path safely avoiding the International Space Station. The control room erupted in quiet cheers from the technicians who had worked alongside her to prevent disaster. Tyler had disappeared sometime during the second hour, presumably to report to Marcus about the unexpected complications that had required Anna's intervention. "Nice work," Becca Martinez said quietly, appearing at Anna's shoulder as the immediate crisis passed. "Though I noticed Tyler's not here to thank you for saving his career." Anna's fingers were still trembling slightly from the adrenaline, but her mind was crystal clear. "Becca, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Of course, those system irregularities you mentioned to Tom Bradley, how long have they been going on?" Becca glanced around the control room, making sure they weren't being overheard. "At least 6 months. Maybe longer. I started noticing patterns in the access logs that didn't match normal usage patterns." "What kind of patterns?" "Large data transfers during off hours, file copies being made to external drive, encrypted communications through the company's servers that didn't match any authorized protocols." Becca's voice dropped even lower. "Anna, someone has been systematically harvesting your research data and transmitting it outside the company network." Anna felt her stomach drop. "Do you have proof?" "I have logs, timestamps, digital forensics that would stand up in court. The question is whether anyone would be willing to prosecute." Becca pulled out her phone and showed Anna a series of screenshots. "Look at this. These data transfers coincide exactly with Marcus's meetings with those foreign contacts Tom Bradley photographed." The evidence was damning. Anna could see her own file structures, her proprietary algorithms, her classified research being copied and transmitted in real time. The scope of the theft was staggering. Virtually everything she had created over the past 2 years had been systematically stolen and shared with unknown recipients. "There's more," Becca continued. "I've been monitoring Tyler's system access since he started. He's been given administrative privileges that he shouldn't have, access to classified systems that require years of security clearance processing." "How is that possible?" "Someone with higher-level access granted him emergency clearances, bypassing all the normal security protocol. The authorization came directly from Marcus's executive account." Anna stared at the evidence, her engineering mind automatically cataloging the implications. Marcus hadn't just stolen her research, he had systematically prepared Tyler to serve as a conduit for ongoing intelligence theft. The satellite crisis earlier hadn't been incompetence. It had been a test, a way to demonstrate Tyler's limitations while simultaneously proving Anna's continued value to potential buyers. "Becca, I need access to the classified file servers. Can you help me? That's a federal crime, and if we get caught accessing files above our clearance level, we could both go to prison. If we don't access those files, Marcus is going to sell American satellite defense technology to foreign government. That's not just a crime, it's treason. Becca was quiet for a long moment, weighing the risks. Finally, she nodded. There's a maintenance window tonight at 2 a.m. All the security monitoring systems go offline for routine updates. If we're going to do this, that's our best opportunity. Anna spent the rest of the day maintaining her normal routine, attending meetings, reviewing technical reports, and giving Tyler the kind of supportive guidance that Marcus expected from his senior technical advisor. But underneath her professional facade, she was planning what amounted to a reconnaissance mission into the heart of Meridian's classified systems. At 1:45 a.m., Anna returned to the facility using her still-active security badge. The building was virtually empty except for a skeleton crew of night security guards who barely looked up from their monitors as she passed. Becca was waiting in the server room, surrounded by humming computers and blinking status lights that cast eerie shadows on the walls. The monitoring systems just went offline. Becca whispered, "We have maybe 20 minutes before they come back online." Anna's fingers flew across the keyboard as she navigated deeper into Meridian's classified file structure. What she found there made her blood run cold. Marcus had created an entire parallel communication network within the company's systems, hidden behind layers of encryption and misdirection. The files she accessed revealed the true scope of his betrayal. Project Sentinel wasn't just being sold to foreign governments, it was being deliberately compromised to create backdoors that would allow enemy nations to monitor and potentially disable American satellite defenses. The $4 billion contract was essentially funding the creation of a Trojan horse that would give America's enemies unprecedented access to its most sensitive military assets. Jesus Christ, Becca whispered, reading over Anna's shoulder. He's not just selling secrets. He's selling control. Anna continued scrolling through the files, documenting everything she could in the limited time available. She found communication logs showing Marcus coordinating with representatives from Chinese and Russian intelligence services, financial records showing payments of millions of dollars transferred to offshore accounts, technical specifications for modified satellite systems that would appear normal but contain hidden vulnerability. Most disturbing of all, she found detailed psychological profiles of key Meridian employees, including herself. Marcus had been planning this operation for years, carefully identifying personnel who could be manipulated, compromised, or eliminated as necessary. Anna's profile was marked with a red flag: high-value asset, potential security risk. Recommend termination after knowledge transfer complete. We need to copy everything, Anna said, her voice steady despite the terror building in her chest. I'm already on it, Becca replied, connecting an encrypted external drive to the system. But Anna, look at this. She pointed to a calendar file showing Marcus's upcoming travel schedule. He was planning to leave the country in 72 hours, ostensibly for a business conference in Switzerland, but with connections that would take him to countries without extradition treaties with the United States. He's running, Anna. Once Tyler has transferred enough of my knowledge to be useful, Marcus is going to disappear. As if summoned by their conversation, Anna's phone buzzed with an encrypted message: emergency meeting required. Pentagon has questions about satellite trajectory incident. Report to my office immediately. General Patricia Hayes. Anna showed the message to Becca, who went pale. That's the Pentagon liaison for Project Sentinel. If she's asking questions about today's incident, then someone is already suspicious about what's happening here. Anna finished copying the files and carefully closed all the applications, leaving no trace of their unauthorized access. Becca, I need you to hide copies of this evidence somewhere safe. If something happens to me, make sure it gets to the right people. What are you going to do? Anna stood up, her mind already shifting into the kind of calculated risk assessment that had made her one of the country's top satellite engineers. I'm going to contact General Hayes and tell her everything we've discovered. It's time to bring in people with the authority to stop this. But as they prepared to leave the server room, Anna's phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from an unknown number. I know what you've been doing. Meet me in the parking garage in 10 minutes. Come alone, or everyone you care about will suffer the consequence. Anna showed the message to Becca, whose face went white with fear. He knows, Becca whispered. Somehow Marcus knows we accessed the classified files. Anna felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the implication. If Marcus was monitoring their activities in real time, then he had capabilities and resources far beyond what she had imagined. The conspiracy wasn't just about selling secrets, it was about complete control over information, personnel, and potentially the entire Project Sentinel program. Standing in the humming server room, surrounded by the digital evidence of Marcus's betrayal, Anna understood that she had crossed a line from which there could be no return. She was no longer just a betrayed employee seeking justice. She was a witness to treason, and Marcus Sullivan was about to demonstrate exactly how far he was willing to go to protect his secrets. The question was whether Anna Jenkins was prepared to go even further to stop him. Standing in the humming server room, surrounded by the digital evidence of Marcus's betrayal, Anna understood that she had crossed a line from which there could be no return. She was no longer just a betrayed employee seeking justice. She was a witness to treason, and Marcus Sullivan was about to demonstrate exactly how far he was willing to go to protect his secrets. The question was whether Anna Jenkins was prepared to go even further to stop him. "Don't go," Becca whispered, gripping Anna's arm. "This feels like a trap." Anna looked down at the encrypted drive containing proof of Marcus's conspiracy, then back at her friend's terrified face. "If I don't go, he'll know we have the evidence. He'll destroy everything and disappear before we can stop him. Then let's call the FBI right now. Let them handle this." With what proof? Digital files that we obtained through illegal access. By the time we convince anyone to take this seriously, Marcus will be on a plane to Switzerland. Anna pocketed the drive and headed toward the door. "I need to face." "But Becca, if I don't come back in 30 minutes, send everything to General Hayes and Detective Morrison at the FBI's Cybercrime Division." The parking garage felt like a tomb as Anna made her way down to the lower level. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows between the concrete pillars, and her footsteps echoed ominously in the empty space. She found Marcus waiting by his black Mercedes, his usual corporate facade replaced by something colder and more calculating. His voice carried none of its usual warmth. "I'm disappointed. 15 years of loyalty, and it comes to this." "Loyalty?" Anna stepped closer, her fear transforming into righteous anger. "You want to talk about loyalty? I gave you everything, Marcus. My research, my innovations, my life, and you repaid me by stealing my work and selling it to foreign governments." Marcus smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Your work? Anna, you seem to have forgotten who signs your paychecks. Everything you've created belongs to Meridian Aerospace. I simply found more profitable applications for it. Profitable applications that compromise American national security. That's not business, Marcus. That's treason." "Treason?" Marcus laughed, the sound echoing off the concrete walls. "Anna, you're so naive. American technological superiority is a fantasy. China and Russia are going to develop these capabilities eventually. I'm simply ensuring that when they do, Meridian benefits from the transition." Anna stared at him, horrified by the casual way he dismissed the implications of his action. "You're talking about giving foreign governments the ability to disable American satellites. Do you understand what that means? Communication networks, GPS systems, military coordination. Everything would be vulnerable. Everything is already vulnerable. The question is whether we profit from that vulnerability, or become victims of it." Marcus stepped closer, his expression hardening. "I built this company from nothing, Anna. I turned a failing radar manufacturer into an aerospace powerhouse. And I did it by being pragmatic about the realities of global competition, by being a traitor." The word hung in the air between them, like a physical barrier. Marcus's facade finally cracked completely, revealing the ruthless calculation beneath. "You know, Anna, I really hoped we could resolve this professionally. Your expertise is valuable, and I've invested considerable time and resources in cultivating your talents, but you've forced my hand." Anna felt a chill of genuine fear as she realized Marcus wasn't alone. Two men in dark suits emerged from behind concrete pillars, moving with the practiced efficiency of professional security contractors. Their presence transformed the conversation from corporate confrontation to something far more dangerous. "You're going to return the files you copied tonight," Marcus continued. You're going to delete any backups you've made, and you're going to accept a generous severance package in exchange for signing a comprehensive non-disclosure agreement. And if I refuse, then you'll be framed as a disgruntled employee who stole classified information and attempted to sell it to foreign agents. Your financial records will show suspicious offshore deposits. Your computer will contain evidence of communications with Chinese intelligence services. Marcus's voice was matter-of-fact, as if he were discussing routine business matters. By the time the FBI finishes investigating, you'll be facing 30 years in federal prison. Anna felt the walls closing in around her. Marcus had clearly been planning for this contingency, preparing to destroy her if she became a threat to his operation. But there was something he didn't know, something that might give her the leverage she needed. You're right, Marcus, I did copy those files tonight. But I wasn't the only one who saw them. She pulled out her phone, showing him a video recording she'd activated before entering the garage. This entire conversation has been streamed to multiple secure servers. Even if you destroy me, the evidence will survive. For the first time, Marcus looked genuinely concerned. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your encrypted communication logs from the past 6 months. Look at the financial transfers to your offshore accounts. Review the technical specifications you provided to your foreign contact. Anna's voice grew stronger as she realized she had gained the upper hand. I may be naive about business, Marcus, but I'm not stupid about technology. The sound of footsteps echoed through the garage as Tyler Sullivan appeared from the stairwell, his face flushed with exertion and anxiety. Uncle Marcus, I got your message. What's happening? The interruption broke the tension momentarily, and Anna saw her opportunity. Tyler, did you know that your uncle has been using you to steal classified information? That the satellite incident today was deliberately planned to test your access to critical systems? Tyler looked confused, glancing between Anna and Marcus. What is she talking about? Tyler, go back upstairs, Marcus ordered. This doesn't concern you. Actually, it concerns him very much, Anna continued. Marcus has been grooming you as a fall guy, Tyler. When the FBI investigates this conspiracy, who do you think they're going to blame? The experienced CEO with plausible deniability, or the inexperienced nephew with administrative access, the compromised systems? Anna could see the doubt creeping into Tyler's expression as he began to understand the implications of what she was saying. Uncle Marcus, is this true? Marcus's composure finally cracked completely. Tyler, don't listen to her. She's a disgruntled employee trying to destroy our family. Our family? Tyler's voice was incredulous. You told me I was leading Project Sentinel because I was qualified. Were you lying about that too? The confrontation was spiraling beyond Marcus's control, and Anna could see him calculating new strategies. But she also noticed something else. The security contractors were positioning themselves to cut off her escape routes. Tyler, Anna said urgently, your uncle has been planning to flee the country in 72 hours. He's going to leave you here to face the consequences of his crimes. That's enough, Marcus snapped. He gestured to his security team. Secure her phone and escort Ms. Jenkins to a location where we can have a more private conversation. As the contractors moved toward her, Anna made a desperate decision. She activated an emergency protocol on her phone, sending a pre-programmed message to General Hayes, Tom Bradley, and Detective Morrison. Marcus Sullivan, treason, Meridian Aerospace, parking garage, send help. You're making a terrible mistake, Marcus, Anna said, as the contractors flanked her. General Hayes is already suspicious about today's satellite incident. When she receives my message, she'll come looking for answers. General Hayes will receive a very different explanation of events, Marcus replied. One that portrays you as an unstable employee who suffered a mental breakdown after being passed over for promotion. But Tyler was staring at his uncle with growing horror. You really did plan all of this, didn't you? The appointment, the satellite crisis, Anna's demotion. It was all part of some scheme. Tyler, I did this for us, for our family's future. You did this for money, Tyler said quietly, and you were going to let me take the blame. Anna watched the young man's face transform as he finally understood the scope of his uncle's manipulation. In that moment, Tyler Sullivan stopped being an entitled nephew and became something far more dangerous to Marcus's plans, a witness with intimate knowledge of the conspiracy. "I think," Tyler said, his voice steadier than Anna had ever heard it, "that Anna is telling the truth, and I think you've been lying to me since the day I started working here." The parking garage fell silent, except for the hum of ventilation systems and the distant sound of traffic. Marcus stood surrounded by the wreckage of his carefully constructed plan, his nephew's betrayal cutting deeper than any external threat. Anna realized that this confrontation had become something far more complex than a simple battle between corruption and justice. It had become a family reckoning that would determine the fate of America's satellite defense systems. The parking garage fell silent, except for the hum of ventilation systems and the distant sound of traffic. Marcus stood surrounded by the wreckage of his carefully constructed plan, his nephew's betrayal cutting deeper than any external threat. Anna realized that this confrontation had become something far more complex than a simple battle between corruption and justice. It had become a family reckoning that would determine the fate of America's satellite defense systems. "Tyler," Marcus said, his voice carrying a note of desperate pleading that Anna had never heard before. "You don't understand the complexities of what we're dealing with. Sometimes difficult decisions have to be made for the greater good." "The greater good?" Tyler's voice was incredulous. "Uncle Marcus, you're talking about selling military secrets to foreign governments. How is that possibly for the greater good?" The sound of approaching sirens began to echo through the parking garage, growing louder with each passing second. Anna's emergency message had clearly reached the right people. Marcus's expression shifted from desperation to cold calculation as he realized his window of opportunity was rapidly closing. "Secure both of them," Marcus ordered his contractors. "We're leaving. Now." But Tyler stepped between Anna and the approaching men, his young face set with determination. "No, I'm not going anywhere with you, and neither is she." Anna felt a surge of unexpected respect for the young man she had dismissed as nothing more than an entitled nepotism hire. In this moment of crisis, Tyler Sullivan was proving he had more integrity than she had given him credit for. The contractors hesitated, clearly unprepared for the complication of Marcus's nephew, actively opposing their orders. In that moment of uncertainty, Anna made her decision. If she was going to stop Marcus's conspiracy, she needed to take action that would be impossible to cover up or explain away. "Becca," she said into her phone's voice recorder, knowing her friend was monitoring the situation remotely, "execute Protocol 7. Authorization Alpha 97 Bravo." Marcus looked confused for a moment, then his face went pale as he realized what Anna was saying. Protocol 7 was the emergency data purge system Anna had designed to protect classified information in the event of a security breach, but Anna had modified it for her own purposes. "You wouldn't," Marcus breathed. "Anna, think about what you're doing. 15 years of research. Your life's work." "My life's work isn't worth compromising national security," Anna replied, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to do. "And it's certainly not worth enabling treason." Through her phone's connection to Meridian systems, Anna began the process that would forever change both her life and the company's future. She wasn't just deleting her research, she was systematically destroying every satellite algorithm, defense protocol, and orbital mechanics calculation that made Project Sentinel possible. The first wave of deletions targeted the core satellite guidance system. Anna watched the progress indicator on her phone as years of painstaking calculations vanished into digital oblivion. The algorithms that could predict satellite trajectories months in advance, the protocols that protected against cyber attacks, the innovations that had made American space defense superior to any other nation's capabilities, all of it was being systematically erased. "Stop." Marcus lunged toward her, but Tyler intercepted him, grabbing his uncle's arm. "Let her finish," Tyler said firmly. "If what she's saying is true, then this is the only way to stop you from selling our technology to foreign governments." The second wave targeted the Project Sentinel contract specification. Anna deleted the technical blueprints that would have guided the construction of the next generation of defense satellites. the security protocols that protected against foreign interference, and the communication systems that linked American satellites to ground-based control centers. Marcus's contractors looked uncertain, caught between their orders to secure Anna and the rapidly escalating family drama playing out before them. The sound of sirens was getting closer, and Anna could see the first flashes of police lights reflecting off the garage wall. "You're destroying everything," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "Do you have any idea what this will cost? The contracts we'll lose, the jobs that will be eliminated." "I know exactly what it will cost," Anna replied, initiating the third wave of deletion. "But the alternative is giving foreign governments the ability to disable American satellites whenever they choose. That's not a price I'm willing to pay." The final wave was the most devastating. Anna deleted her personal research archives, the backup systems that could have allowed for eventual reconstruction of the lost data, and the encrypted files that contained 15 years of accumulated knowledge about satellite technology. She was essentially lobotomizing herself professionally, destroying the expertise that had defined her career and her identity, but she also deleted something else: the evidence of Marcus's conspiracy that she and Becca had gathered. If the FBI was going to build a case against Marcus, they would have to do it without the illegally obtained files that could be challenged in court. "Authorization confirmed." Becca's voice came through Anna's phone. "All targeted systems have been purged. Recovery is not possible." Marcus stared at Anna with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "You've just destroyed the most advanced satellite defense system in the world. Do you understand what you've done?" "I've prevented it from falling into the wrong hands," Anna replied, "including you." The first FBI vehicles burst through the parking garage entrance, followed closely by military police units that Anna recognized as General Hayes's people. The cavalry had arrived, but Anna knew her troubles were just beginning. Detective James Morrison emerged from the lead vehicle, his weapon drawn but pointed at the ground. "Anna Jenkins, I'm Detective Morrison, FBI Cybercrime Division. I need you to step away from your phone and keep your hands visible." Anna complied, knowing that from Morrison's perspective, she was the criminal in this scenario. She had just committed what amounted to the largest act of corporate sabotage in American history, destroying billions of dollars worth of research and crippling a critical defense program. "Detective Morrison," she called out, "the man you need to arrest is Marcus Sullivan. He's been selling classified satellite technology to foreign governments." "That's a serious accusation, Ms. Jenkins," Morrison replied, his tone professional but skeptical. "But right now, we have evidence of a massive cyber attack on a defense contractor's systems, an attack that appears to have originated from your phone." Marcus stepped forward, immediately taking advantage of the situation. "Detective, I'm Marcus Sullivan, CEO of Meridian Aerospace. Ms. Jenkins is a former employee who was recently terminated for performance issues. It appears she's retaliated by destroying our classified research data." Anna watched Marcus seamlessly transition back into his corporate persona, presenting himself as the victim of her cyber terrorism. Without the illegally obtained evidence she had just deleted, proving his conspiracy would be nearly impossible. "Tyler," Anna said urgently, "tell them what you heard. Tell them about your uncle's plan to flee the country." Tyler looked torn, caught between family loyalty and the truth he had just learned. For a moment, Anna feared he would side with Marcus despite everything that had been revealed. "Detective Morrison," Tyler said, finally, "I think you need to know that my uncle has been planning to leave the country. Tonight, he has tickets to Switzerland, and he's been meeting with people he claims are international business partners." Marcus's expression darkened as he realized his nephew's defection was complete. "Tyler, you don't know what you're talking about. You're confused." "I'm not confused anymore," Tyler replied. "For the first time in months, everything makes perfect sense." General Patricia Hayes emerged from one of the military vehicles, her expression grim as she surveyed the scene. Anna had never met the general in person, but her reputation as a no-nonsense military professional preceded her. "Ms. Jenkins," General Hayes said, "I received your emergency message. You claim to have evidence of treason involving Project Sentinel." "I did have evidence, General, but I destroyed it along with everything else when I realized Marcus was about to flee the country with classified technology." Anna knew how her explanation sounded, like the desperate rationalization of someone caught in the act of cyber terrorism. But she also knew that General Hayes was intelligent enough to recognize the patterns that would emerge as the investigation proceeded. "Detective Morrison," Anna said, "if you examine Marcus's financial records, his travel patterns, and his communication logs, you'll find evidence of his conspiracy. I may have destroyed the research data, but I couldn't destroy the evidence of his crimes." As the FBI agents began securing the scene, Anna realized that her desperate gambit had succeeded in one crucial way. She had prevented Marcus from completing his betrayal of American satellite technology, but she had also transformed herself from a respected engineer into a fugitive, facing federal charges that could put her in prison for the rest of her life. Standing in the parking garage, surrounded by law enforcement and watching Marcus Sullivan be taken into custody for questioning, Anna Jenkins understood that she had reached the point of no return. She had chosen justice over law, duty over career, and conscience over safety. Now she would have to live with the consequences of that choice, whatever they might be. Standing in the parking garage, surrounded by law enforcement and watching Marcus Sullivan be taken into custody for questioning, Anna Jenkins understood that she had reached the point of no return. Now, she had chosen justice over law, duty over career, and conscience over safety. Now she would have to live with the consequences of that choice, whatever they might be. The federal courthouse in Denver felt like a fortress as Anna sat in the holding cell waiting for her attorney to arrive. 48 hours had passed since her arrest, and she had used every minute to mentally prepare for the legal battle ahead. The charges were staggering: computer fraud, theft of government property, destruction of classified materials, and conspiracy to commit espionage. Each count carried decades in federal prison. Detective Morrison appeared at her cell door, his expression unreadable. "Miss Jenkins, your attorney is here." Anna followed him down the sterile corridor to a consultation room where Dr. Sarah Chen was waiting. Her former colleague looked tired but determined, and Anna felt a surge of gratitude that someone still believed in her innocence. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" "I'm not just your friend, Anna. I'm also your attorney. I finished law school before switching to engineering, and I've been practicing corporate defense law on the side." Sarah opened her briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. "We need to talk about your situation, and we don't have much time." Anna sat down, feeling hope for the first time since her arrest. "What's the damage?" "Legally, it's catastrophic. The government is treating this as the largest case of corporate espionage in American history. They're claiming you destroyed $4 billion worth of classified research." Sarah's expression was grim. "But there are some interesting developments in the Marcus Sullivan investigation." "What kind of developments?" "Morrison's team found irregularities in Meridian's financial records that support your claims about foreign payment. Tyler Sullivan has been cooperating with the FBI, providing details about his uncle's meetings and travel patterns, and Becca Martinez has come forward with digital forensics evidence that Marcus had been systematically copying your research for months." Anna felt a glimmer of hope. "So they believe my story about the conspiracy?" "Some of them do. Morrison is pushing hard for a thorough investigation of Marcus's activities, but the problem is that you destroyed the most compelling evidence when you deleted those files." Sarah leaned forward. "Anna, why did you delete the evidence of Marcus's crimes along with your research?" "Because it was obtained illegally. If I had kept it, Marcus's attorneys would have gotten it thrown out of court, and he would have walked free." Anna rubbed her temples, feeling the weight of her decision. "I had to choose between convicting Marcus and stopping him. I chose to stop him." "That was incredibly noble and incredibly stupid," Sarah said bluntly. "Without that evidence, proving Marcus's conspiracy becomes much harder. Meanwhile, the evidence of your data destruction is overwhelming." A knock on the door interrupted their conversation. Detective Morrison entered, followed by a woman Anna recognized from news broadcasts: General Patricia Hayes, the Pentagon liaison for Project Sentinel. "Miss Jenkins," General Hayes said, taking a seat across from Anna. "We need to discuss the implications of your actions for national security." Anna straightened, knowing this conversation could determine her fate. "General, I understand the severity of what I did, but I also believe it was necessary to prevent classified technology from falling into foreign hands." "That's what we need to discuss," Morrison interjected. Our investigation into Marcus Sullivan has uncovered evidence that supports your claims about his foreign contact. Bank records show payments from shell companies linked to Chinese and Russian intelligence services. However, General Hayes continued, your destruction of the Project Sentinel data has created a massive security vulnerability. We now have a $4 billion defense contract with no technical foundation to fulfill it. Anna felt the weight of that revelation. In her desperate attempt to prevent Marcus's betrayal, she had inadvertently crippled America's satellite defense capability. I can help rebuild the systems, General. Most of the core algorithms are still in my memory. That's what we're hoping, Morrison said. But first, we need your help catching Marcus Sullivan. He made bail yesterday and promptly disappeared. Anna's blood ran cold. He's running. His Swiss bank accounts have been emptied, and his private jet filed a flight plan to a non-extradition country, General Hayes explained. We believe he's planning to defect with whatever classified information he still possesses. What classified information? I destroyed everything. Not everything, Morrison said grimly. Marcus had personal copies of key research files stored on encrypted drives. We found evidence that he downloaded critical satellite control algorithms before your data purge. Anna realized with growing horror that her sacrifice had been incomplete. Marcus still possessed enough classified technology to complete his betrayal, and now he was free to deliver it to America's enemies, without any interference. There's something else, Sarah said quietly. Marcus has been giving interviews to major news networks. He's portraying you as a mentally unstable employee who committed an act of domestic terrorism. Morrison pulled out his phone and showed Anna a news clip. On the screen, Marcus Sullivan appeared calm and professional as he spoke to a CNN reporter. Anna Jenkins was a valued employee for many years, but she had been showing signs of increasing instability, Marcus was saying. Her inability to accept constructive criticism and her obsession with maintaining control over her projects created a toxic work environment. When we made the difficult decision to restructure her role, she retaliated by destroying billions of dollars worth of critical defense research. Anna watched in disgust as Marcus painted himself as a victim while simultaneously discrediting her claims about his conspiracy. He's controlling the narrative. Perfectly, General Hayes agreed. The media is portraying you as either a delusional whistleblower or a domestic terrorist, depending on the outlet. Meanwhile, Marcus appears to be a successful CEO dealing with a rogue employee. But you have evidence of his crimes, Anna protested. Circumstantial evidence, Morrison corrected. Financial irregularities, suspicious meetings, travel patterns that suggest criminal activity. But without the files you destroyed, we can't prove intent to commit espionage. Anna felt trapped between impossible choices. If she cooperated with the investigation, she might help catch Marcus but would also confirm her guilt in the data destruction. If she remained silent, Marcus would escape justice while she faced decades in prison. What are you asking me to do? Anna asked. Help us catch him, Morrison said. Marcus doesn't know that we've identified his foreign contacts or traced his financial activities. If you were to reach out to him, claiming you want to negotiate or make a deal, we might be able to draw him back into U.S. jurisdiction. You want me to be bait? We want you to help us stop a traitor, General Hayes said firmly. Marcus Sullivan is attempting to flee the country with classified satellite technology that could compromise American national security for decades. Your personal legal situation is secondary to that threat. Anna looked at Sarah, who nodded slowly. It's risky, but it might be your only chance to prove that your actions were justified. The weight of the decision pressed down on Anna like the gravitational pull of a massive satellite. She had already sacrificed her career, her freedom, and her reputation to stop Marcus's conspiracy. Now she was being asked to risk even more in a desperate gambit to complete what she had started. But as she thought about the implications of Marcus escaping with classified technology, the choice became clear. She had committed herself to protecting American satellite defense systems, regardless of the personal cost. What do you need me to do? Anna asked. Morrison smiled for the first time since she had met him. Make a phone call that will bring Marcus Sullivan home. Morrison smiled for the first time since she had met him. make a phone call that will bring Marcus Sullivan home. The phone felt heavy in Anna's hands as she stared at Marcus's contact information. They had relocated to a secure FBI facility in Colorado Springs, where technicians monitored every frequency and recorded every word. Sarah sat beside her offering silent support, while Morrison and General Hayes watched from behind one-way glass. "Remember," Morrison's voice came through her earpiece, "you're desperate and willing to make a deal. You have backup files that survived the purge, and you want to negotiate immunity in exchange for delivering them to Marcus." Anna took a deep breath and dialed. The phone rang once, twice, then Marcus's familiar voice answered with calculated caution. "Anna, I was wondering when you'd call." "Marcus, we need to talk. This situation has gotten out of hand, and I think we can help each other." "Help each other?" His laugh was bitter. "Anna, you destroyed 15 years of research and cost me everything. What could you possibly offer me now?" "Insurance," Anna said, letting desperation creep into her voice. "You don't think I was stupid enough to delete everything, do you? I kept backup files of the most critical algorithms, hidden where the FBI will never find them." There was a long pause. Anna could practically hear Marcus calculating the implications. "What do you want?" "I want immunity from prosecution, and I want you to clear my name publicly. In exchange, I'll give you the complete Project Sentinel database." "You're lying. The FBI would never let you make this call if you actually had classified files." Anna's heart pounded, but she pressed forward with the script they had rehearsed. "The FBI doesn't know about the files. I hid them before my arrest, and I'm the only one who knows where they are. But Marcus, I'm facing life in prison. If I don't make a deal soon, I'll have nothing left to lose." Another pause, longer this time. When Marcus spoke again, his tone had shifted to something more calculating. "Even if I believed you had the files, why would I risk coming back to the United States? I'm safe where I am. Because you need me, Marcus. The algorithms you took are incomplete. They're missing the quantum encryption protocols that make the satellite defense system actually work. Without those protocols, what you have is useless." Anna held her breath, knowing this was the crucial moment. Morrison had briefed her on the technical details that would make her offer credible, but she had to sell it convincingly. "Prove it," Marcus said finally. "Send me a sample of what you're claiming to have." Anna looked toward the one-way glass, knowing Morrison was coordinating with his technical team. Within minutes, her phone received a carefully crafted piece of code, authentic-looking but deliberately incomplete algorithms that would appear to validate her claims. "Check your secure email," Anna said. "That's just a fragment, but it should be enough to prove I'm not bluffing." She waited, listening to the faint sound of keyboard clicks on Marcus's end. When he spoke again, his voice carried a note of genuine interest. "This is very convincing. But I still don't see why I should risk returning to U.S. jurisdiction." "Because I'm not asking you to come to the United States," Anna said, playing her final card. "I'm proposing we meet on neutral ground. Montreal. I walk across the border, you fly in from wherever you are, and we make the exchange. Both of us get what we want, and neither of us has to trust the other's government." This time the pause stretched so long that Anna wondered if the connection had been lost. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Montreal. The Queen Elizabeth Hotel. Tomorrow at noon. Come alone, Anna, and bring everything." The line went dead, and Anna set down the phone with trembling hands. Within seconds, Morrison burst through the door. "Outstanding work," he said. "We've got him." "Do we?" Anna asked. "He's not stupid, Morrison. If he suspects this is a trap, he won't suspect anything because he wants those files too badly." General Hayes interrupted, entering behind Morrison. "Marcus Sullivan's ego won't let him believe that a mentally unstable engineer could outmaneuver him." Sarah looked concerned. "This is incredibly dangerous. If Marcus realizes it's a setup, he won't," a new voice said from the doorway. Anna turned to see Tyler Sullivan entering the room, his face drawn but determined. "I know my uncle better than anyone. He'll convince himself that he's the smartest person in the room right up until the moment you arrest him." Anna stared at Tyler in surprise. "What are you doing here?" "I'm part of the operation," Tyler replied. I've been working with the FBI since the night you destroyed the data, providing intelligence on Marcus's habits, his escape routes, his psychological profile. Morrison nodded. Tyler's been instrumental in helping us understand how Marcus thinks. He's also agreed to be part of the Montreal operation. Absolutely not, Anna said immediately. It's too dangerous. If Marcus realizes his own nephew is working against him, then he'll make mistakes. Tyler interrupted. Anna, you destroyed your entire career to stop my uncle's conspiracy. The least I can do is help finish what you started. General Hayes stepped forward. The plan is simple. Anna will meet Marcus at the hotel as scheduled. Tyler will be positioned as backup, claiming he's decided to flee the country with his uncle. Meanwhile, FBI agents will be monitoring from multiple positions, and if something goes wrong, Sarah asked. Then we improvise, Morrison said grimly. But this is our best chance to catch Marcus Sullivan before he disappears forever. Anna looked around the room at these unlikely allies. The FBI detective who had initially pursued her as a criminal, the general whose defense program she had destroyed, the young man she had once dismissed as incompetent, and the friend who had risked her own career to defend her. There's something else, Tyler said quietly. I've been monitoring Marcus's communications with his foreign contacts. They're getting impatient. If this exchange doesn't happen soon, they'll assume he's been compromised and cut him loose, which means he'll be desperate, Morrison observed. Desperate enough to take risks he might otherwise avoid. Anna felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders once again. Everything that had happened, the betrayal, the data destruction, her arrest had led to this moment. One final confrontation with Marcus Sullivan, where the stakes were nothing less than the future of American satellite defense. I'll do it, Anna said, but I want something in return. What? General Hayes, when this is over, when Marcus is in custody and the conspiracy is exposed, I want to help rebuild Project Sentinel. Not as a criminal seeking redemption, but as an engineer whose knowledge is needed. General Hayes considered this for a moment, then nodded. If you help us catch Marcus Sullivan, I'll personally ensure that you have the opportunity to restore what was lost. Anna stood up, feeling a sense of purpose that had been absent since the night she destroyed her life's work. Then let's bring him home. As the team began planning the details of the Montreal operation, Anna realized that her journey from respected engineer to fugitive, to unlikely federal asset was nearing its end, but the final chapter would require her to face Marcus Sullivan one last time, armed with nothing but her wits and the support of people who had chosen to trust her despite everything. The hunt was about to become a trap, and Anna Jenkins was about to discover whether justice was worth the price she had paid for it. The hunt was about to become a trap, and Anna Jenkins was about to discover whether justice was worth the price she had paid for it. The Queen Elizabeth Hotel in Montreal rose like a glass and steel monument against the gray November sky. Anna sat in the lobby, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that had long since gone cold, watching business people and tourists move through the elegant space with casual indifference to the drama about to unfold. Her earpiece crackled with Morrison's voice providing updates on surveillance positions. Target just entered through the north entrance, Morrison reported. Brown coat, black briefcase, moving toward the elevators. Anna's stomach tightened as she spotted Marcus Sullivan across the lobby. He looked older than she remembered, his usual confident demeanor replaced by the careful alertness of a man who knew he was being hunted. Their eyes met, across the crowded space, and she saw a flicker of the old manipulation in his expression, the practiced smile that had fooled Pentagon officials and corporate boards for years. Anna, Marcus approached her table, setting his briefcase beside his chair as he sat down. You look tired. Prison will do that to you, Anna replied, noting the micro-recorders hidden in her jewelry. Thank you for coming, Marcus. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. This feels remarkably like a His eyes scanned the lobby, cataloging faces and exits with professional paranoia. But greed is a powerful motivator, isn't it? Anna forced herself to lean forward, projecting desperation. I need this to work, Marcus. The FBI has frozen my assets. My reputation is destroyed, and I'm facing life in prison. Those backup files are the only leverage I have left. Marcus studied her for a long moment, his businessman's instincts warring with his suspicious nature. "Show me proof that you actually have what you're claiming." Anna pulled out a tablet, displaying code fragments that Morrison's technical team had carefully crafted to appear authentic. "Quantum encryption protocols for satellite defense network. This is just a sample. The complete database contains over 2,000 algorithms." As Marcus examined the display, Anna caught a glimpse of Tyler Sullivan at a table near the bar pretending to read a newspaper while monitoring their conversation. The young man had insisted on being part of the operation despite the risks, and Anna found herself grateful for his presence. "Impressive," Marcus admitted, though his tone remained cautious. "But this could be fabricated." "How do I know you're not working with the FBI to entrap me?" "Because I'm the one taking all the risks here," Anna shot back. "You're a fugitive from justice, Marcus. If this goes wrong, you disappear back to whatever non-extradition country you're hiding in. I'm the one who ends up in solitary confinement." Marcus's phone buzzed, and he glanced at the screen before frowning. "Excuse me for a moment." He stepped away from the table, speaking in rapid, hushed tones to someone Anna couldn't identify. Through her earpiece, Anna heard Morrison's voice. "We're picking up multiple encrypted communications. Marcus isn't alone. He's got backup somewhere nearby." Anna's blood ran cold as she realized the trap was more complex than they had anticipated. Marcus returned to the table, his expression harder than before. "Change of plans. Anna, we're moving this conversation upstairs, room 1247. I'm not going anywhere private with you, Marcus. We do this here in public, or we don't do it at all." Marcus smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I'm afraid you don't have a choice. You see, I know you're wearing recording equipment. I know Agent Morrison is positioned at the concierge desk, and I know Tyler is sitting at the bar pretending to read yesterday's newspaper." Anna felt the walls closing in around her as Marcus revealed the depth of his preparation. "How? How did I know?" "Because I've been planning for this possibility since the night you destroyed my research." Marcus leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Did you really think I would walk into a federal operation without preparation?" The lobby suddenly felt smaller, as Anna realized they had underestimated Marcus's resources and paranoia. Through her peripheral vision, she could see Tyler starting to move, but Marcus raised his hand in a subtle gesture that stopped the young man in his tracks. "Your nephew is going to get himself killed if he tries to interfere," Marcus continued conversationally. "I have people positioned throughout this hotel, Anna. Professional people who don't hesitate when situations become complicated." Anna's mind raced, trying to find an escape route from a trap that had become a counter-trap. "What do you want?" "Marcus, I want you to stand up, walk to the elevator, and accompany me to room 1237. There, you'll transfer the complete Project Sentinel database to my secured systems. In exchange, I'll allow you and Tyler to leave Montreal alive. And if I refuse," Marcus's expression turned cold, "then Agent Morrison will find your body in a hotel room, along with evidence that you were selling classified information to foreign agents. Your reputation will be destroyed posthumously, and I'll disappear with whatever incomplete files I already possess." Anna realized with growing horror that Marcus had orchestrated this entire scenario, not to retrieve the non-existent backup files, but to eliminate her permanently while discrediting her claims about his conspiracy. The meeting was never about an exchange. It was about silencing the one person who could expose his treason. "Anna," Tyler's voice came through her earpiece as he activated his own communication device. "Don't go with him. Morrison's team is moving to intercept." But Marcus had been monitoring their communications all along. "Too late," he said, standing and gesturing toward the elevator. "Your friends just triggered my security protocols." The lobby erupted into chaos as unmarked vans screeched to a halt outside the hotel entrance. Federal agents poured through the doors while Marcus's security contractors emerged from positions. Anna hadn't even noticed, turning the elegant space into a battlefield. "Move!" Morrison's voice shouted through her earpiece as gunfire echoed through the marble corridor. Anna dove behind an overturned table as bullets shattered the windows overlooking the Montreal skyline. She could see Tyler pinned down near the bar, his inexperience with violence evident in his terrified expression. Morrison and his team were advancing from multiple directions, but Marcus's people had clearly prepared for this confrontation. "Anna Jenkins," Marcus's voice cut through the chaos. This ends here. You destroyed my life's work, and now I'm going to destroy yours. She looked up to see Marcus advancing toward her position, no longer the polished businessman but something far more dangerous. A cornered traitor with nothing left to lose. In his hand was a device that Anna recognized as a dead man's switch, connected to explosives that could bring down the entire hotel. "If I can't have the satellite technology," Marcus shouted over the gunfire, "then no one will. Those files die with you, Anna." As federal agents closed in from all directions and Marcus Sullivan prepared to trigger an explosion that would kill dozens of innocent people, Anna realized that her final confrontation with corruption had become a desperate fight for survival. The satellite conspiracy was about to end in blood and fire, and only one question remained. Would justice survive the explosion that Marcus Sullivan was about to unleash? The satellite conspiracy was about to end in blood and fire, and only one question remained. Would justice survive the explosion that Marcus Sullivan was about to unleash? "Marcus, stop!" Tyler's voice cut through the chaos as he emerged from behind the bar, his hands raised but his expression determined. "This isn't who you are." Marcus pivoted toward his nephew, the dead man's switch trembling in his grip. "Stay back, Tyler. You chose your side when you betrayed our family." "I chose the right side," Tyler replied, stepping closer despite the danger. "The side that doesn't sell out our country for money." Anna watched the confrontation unfold, her mind racing for a solution. Through her earpiece, she could hear Morrison coordinating with bomb disposal experts, but they were still minutes away. The hotel was being evacuated, but dozens of people remained trapped in the crossfire. "Uncle Marcus," Tyler continued, his voice steady despite his fear, "you raised me after Mom died. You taught me about honor and integrity. This isn't honor, this is cowardice." "Honor?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "I built an empire from nothing. I created jobs, advanced technology, strengthened America's defenses. And what did I get? Bureaucrats questioning my methods, politicians demanding oversight, engineers like Anna thinking they knew better than me." Anna realized this was her moment. She stood slowly, drawing Marcus's attention back to her. "You're right, Marcus. I did think I knew better, and I was right." Marcus's finger hovered over the trigger. "You destroyed everything I built." "I stopped you from destroying everything America built," Anna countered. "You were going to give our enemies the keys to our satellite defense network. That's not business. That's treason." "It was inevitable," Marcus shouted. "Chinese and Russian technology is advancing faster than ours. I was ensuring American companies would profit from the transition instead of being left behind." "By selling out your own country," Tyler said quietly. "By using me as your fall guy. By planning to kill Anna to cover your tracks." Morrison's voice crackled through Anna's earpiece. "Sniper has a shot. Say the word." Anna shook her head slightly, knowing that if Marcus was killed, his finger might reflexively trigger the explosives. She needed another solution. "Marcus," she said, taking a step forward, "the FBI already has all the evidence they need. Your financial records, your foreign contacts, your communication logs. Killing us won't save you. It will just prove your guilt. Evidence obtained through illegal surveillance." Marcus replied, "My lawyers will get it thrown out." "Not Tyler's testimony," Anna said. "Not Becca Martinez's digital forensics. Not General Hayes's investigation into the security breaches. You've already lost, Marcus. The only question now is how many innocent people you're going to take with you." Marcus's hand was shaking now, the weight of his choices finally crushing his composure. "I built this company with my bare hands. I won't let it be destroyed by ungrateful employees and government bureaucrats." "Then rebuild it," Tyler said suddenly. "Surrender now, cooperate with the investigation, and maybe there's a chance to salvage something. But if you trigger that device, you'll be remembered as a terrorist, not a businessman." For a long moment, the lobby fell silent, except for the distant sound of sirens and helicopter rotors. Marcus looked from Anna to Tyler, his expression cycling through rage, desperation, and finally, exhaustion. "I'm not going to prison," he said quietly. "You're already in prison," Anna replied. "You've been trapped by your own greed and paranoia for years. This is your chance to find some redemption." Marcus's shoulders sagged as the fight went out of him. His grip on the dead man's switch loosened, and Morrison's team immediately moved to secure the device. "Marcus Sullivan," Morrison announced, approaching with handcuffs. You're under arrest for espionage, conspiracy to commit treason, and attempting to flee prosecution. As federal agents took Marcus into custody, Anna felt a profound sense of exhaustion wash over her. The conspiracy was finally over, but the cost had been enormous: careers destroyed, relationships shattered, national security compromised. Tyler approached her as the chaos subsided. "Anna, I'm sorry for everything my uncle did, for not seeing it sooner, for you chose to do the right thing when it mattered." Anna interrupted. "That's what counts." General Hayes emerged from the crowd of federal agents, her expression mixing relief with professional concern. "Ms. Jenkins, we need to discuss the future of Project Sentinel. The program is still critical to national security, and we need someone with your expertise to rebuild what was lost." Anna looked around the hotel lobby, now filled with law enforcement and emergency personnel, then back at the general. "I'll help," she said simply. "But this time, we do it right: full oversight, transparent processes, and no shortcuts that compromise either security or integrity." As Marcus Sullivan was led away in handcuffs, his empire of corruption finally crumbling, Anna Jenkins understood that her journey was far from over. She had destroyed her old life to save her country's satellite defense systems, and now she would have to build something new from the ash. The satellite conspiracy was over, but the work of redemption was just beginning. 6 months later, Anna Jenkins stood in her new office at the Pentagon, watching the sunrise paint the Colorado Rockies in shades of gold and crimson. The view reminded her of those early mornings at Meridian Aerospace, when she had believed loyalty and expertise were enough to protect what mattered most. The Sentinel-12 satellite achieved perfect orbital insertion. Becca Martinez announced from the doorway, holding a tablet displaying telemetry data. "All systems are functioning within normal parameters." Anna smiled, feeling a satisfaction she hadn't experienced since before Marcus's betrayal. Project Sentinel had been rebuilt from the ground up, incorporating lessons learned from the conspiracy. Every algorithm was peer-reviewed, every security protocol was transparent, and every decision was documented with full accountability. "Any word from Tyler?" "Anna, he graduated summa cum laude from his engineering program last week," Becca replied. "His thesis on ethical technology development received top honors." Tyler Sullivan had chosen the difficult path of earning his credentials through merit rather than connection. He now worked for a small aerospace startup, building his reputation one honest project at a time. Detective Morrison appeared in the doorway, his FBI badge replaced by a Pentagon security clearance. "Anna, General Hayes wants to see the quarterly report." Their professional relationship had evolved into something deeper over the months of rebuilding. Morrison understood the weight of choosing duty over safety, and Anna appreciated his unwavering commitment to justice. "Marcus's sentencing is next week," Morrison added quietly. Anna nodded. The trial had been comprehensive, revealing the full scope of the conspiracy. Marcus Sullivan would spend the rest of his life in federal prison, his empire dismantled and his foreign contacts exposed. As Anna gathered her reports, she reflected on the price of her choices. She had lost her old life but found something more valuable: the knowledge that she had protected her country when it mattered most. The satellite network she had once destroyed was now stronger than ever, built on foundations of integrity rather than corruption. Anna Jenkins had learned that sometimes the greatest act of loyalty was the courage to start over. She looked out at the mountains one last time, then headed to brief General Hayes on America's newest guardians orbiting silently overhead, protecting a nation that would never know how close it had come to losing everything. True security, Anna had discovered, came not from hidden systems or classified algorithms, but from people willing to do what was right regardless of the personal cost. The future was bright, and it belonged to those with the courage to build it honestly. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up, just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss any upload from us.